Hi, I'm good. Good evening. I'm Eric Trickett, and welcome to my Sonoran Desert Institute Week 6 assignment in Introduction to Ammunition and Basic Ballistics. So this week I have about 7 minutes or less to end up running through several different phases. I would like to say about 7 different phases. So first off, what we're going to do is go through trajectory and sight. So the difference between trajectory and sight is your sight picture is going to be from one point directly to the second point. Now, the way that trajectory works is with ammunitions, it's going to be fired, the bullet's going to go, it's going to hit its climax, come back down, and be able to hit the target. Usually, whenever basing this factor off, you'll end up finding out where your about 25 to 30 meter marker is, and usually it ends up meeting back at about 300 meters, typically. So, and the next thing that I'll piggyback off this is the vertical angles. Vertical angles is the amount of vertical that you're going to be using to compensate with your trajectory. So that'd be the barrel itself. So the barrel is not just setting flush along with your sight post. So your sights might be looking straight while you'll have this nice angle that the barrel will actually be augmented into, so that they'll both be able to hit at the correct range whenever you're going through and sighting your firearm in. The next thing that I'd like to go through would be the gyroscopic drift. Gyroscopic drift is very simple. So whenever your ammunition is fired from your rifle or your firearm period, it's going to begin spinning because of the rifling. So with this spin, you're going to end up having your ammunition that is consistently spinning, which will give you an off drift because of that gyroscopic drift. It's constantly spinning, so with that amount of wind and force, it's going to slowly offset. And it'll depend on what caliber firearm or what you are using to kind of compensate where that'll go. Another thing that piggybacks off that is the Magnus effect. So the Magnus effect is usually whenever that gyroscopic drift is going through some sort of a fluid, like rain, weathering, and just what kind of effects it will have, whether or not it'll end up kind of being pressed against or being pushed against a secondary force. Another one that we ended up having this week is drag. So ultimately what drag is just wind resistance. Whenever your ammunition is flying through the air, what kind of resistance is it going to have? It's going to have that kind of a drag. The different kind of designs of the bullet itself will determine what kind of drag that it's going to have. So for a standard round, let's take a look at what you would end up having with a pistol round. Usually you'll end up having a flat face, which will end up causing more drag, versus where rifles typically will end up having more of that point and more of a sleek look, which will cause less drag, which that's something that we touched in our last one, which was a very low drag rounds. So the next one is the Coriolis and Etuus effects. So both of them are ultimately affected by the spin of the earth. So the Coriolis is typically something that will affect your left and right variance depending on where you're at in the world and how you're shooting, and typically how the earth is rotating, the kind of effects that it will end up having. Where the Etuus will end up having the drop or a pull whenever you are going through, and it's ultimately just northwest east south is the best way to look at that. Whenever you're going, is it going to have a curvature that it is falling because where the earth itself is round? It's going to end up having the spins, it's going to have the effects, it's going to end up having its own personal drag or pull. One of the last things that we were going over is transonic. So what transonic is it is the transition from supersonic, which means faster than the speed of sound, versus subsonic, where subsonic is lower than. So it's where it is transitioning from faster than the speed of sound down to the below the speed of sound. So whenever it fires off, it's going to have enough beat per second to kind of break the barrier to where it transitions back into the subsonic. Ultimately, that is what I have learned from this week's assignment. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to leave a few different locations that found out some of my research down below, like always. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and thank you for joining me.